And we begin tonight with a late season wildfire burning near the Oregon coast. The good news first, it is in an unpopulated area and moving toward the ocean. The bad news, it's being fueled by those winds out of the east. So the fire is burning on Tillamook Head near Seaside, covering about 20 acres of freshly cut timberland. We just got off the phone with Seaside fire officials who say the flames are in a pretty contained area. In their words, a little more good news there. 40 crews working to keep the fire in that zone. We should stress there are no evacuation orders at this point. No word yet also on what may have sparked that blaze. Let's give you a look at where it's burning. The fire is just under 3 miles from Seaside and west of Highway 101. Authorities asking people to avoid that area. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino now. Matt, pretty incredible. We're talking about a fire like this in mid-November.
Super unusual, David, to have a wildfire, and no matter what the cause was or what the circumstances are, it's just really weird to have a wildfire in November like this. We've hardly ever had it. Let's check out the winds. East winds in Portland continue, but they're also blowing at the beach. There's Tillamook. Here's Canna Beach. Here's Seaside. Here's Astoria, and the fire just south of Seaside. So it's getting fanned by a pretty constant east wind. And then it bends around and comes out of the north a little bit too. You can see the east winds continuing all up and down the Oregon coast. Now, this was our time lapse from Cannon Beach. And do you see this brown haze? That's wildfire smoke. I mean, it's really a telltale sign. There's nothing else that kind of looks like that. So while we were just going for the sunset, we captured some of the smoke from that fire there. And so did Jim and Karen Young when they are taking pictures of the sunset near Seaside. And Jim saying, hey, nothing else turns the sun red like this other than wildfire smoke. So again, telltale evidence there of the smoke getting blown offshore. It's getting blown westward and then southward as it goes offshore, and the winds kind of go a little bit more north to south. It is burning towards the ocean, though. The east winds will continue tomorrow. They'll weaken a little bit. They're beginning to weaken now, and still no rain in the forecast until Monday, late Monday. David?
Well, we'll be keeping an eye on it all. Thank you, Matt. Speaking of those gusty east winds, they brought down trees and power lines in several spots today. A tree landed between two homes, this one on Northeast 9th and Tillamook in Portland. Wow, several thousand people lost power around the metro area, though things have improved substantially over the afternoon and evening hours. Let's give you a look at the PGE outage map tonight. It shows just under what looks like 200 customers still in the dark. Now to skyrocketing firearm sales in Oregon and a growing backlog of people looking to buy one. Oregon State Police say this rush is tied to Measure 114. That is one of the strictest gun laws in the country, just passed by voters, and which takes effect 3 weeks from today. Catherine Cook explains why some gun shops are concerned. The state is just not ready.
Anytime you threaten people's rights, you're going to have a problem.
Warren Lacasse
Can't believe it happened in the state of Oregon.
doesn't mince words.
Can't believe that people are so stupid that they would give away their Second Amendment rights.
Lacasse owns the Gun Room Inc. on Southeast Foster. Since Oregon voters passed Measure 114 last week, tightening gun laws, he says his gun sales have doubled. And across Oregon, the number of people trying to buy guns is soaring. Before the election, Oregon State Police tells us they averaged around 850 background checks a day from people trying to buy a gun. Now, since Election Day, that average is closer to 4,000 a day, an exponential increase to an already backlogged system.
What do you think? You know, they're going to take your rights away. People are responding like you can't believe.
To be clear, Measure 114 does not take away the right to own a gun. It does ban new sales of high-capacity magazines that hold more than 10 rounds, but includes an exception for those who already own those magazines. The bigger change is the new permit process. It requires safety training, a background check, and a fee, even for those with a concealed handgun license. OSP is still working on a standardized permit application for it, and they don't have much time. Measure 114 kicks in December 8th.
If you don't have a firearm, now's the time to buy one.
That's because opponents worry that after the 8th, it could be impossible to buy one without a streamlined system in place.
I don't have to convince you how urgent this is.
Lift Every Voice is the nonprofit behind Measure 114. When it passed, Reverend Mark Knutson said he was humbled by everyone who helped push it through.
Those who oppose this, we honor their opinions and really want a dialogue as we move forward with this. But we did win a victory for our children and youth, and for all the families in this state who have lost somebody to gun violence, who have been crying out, please, can we do something?
It's possible this something could result in nothing. Critics are discussing lawsuits that could postpone or even stop the new law from taking effect.
You know, this thing ain't over, and it is totally unconstitutional, and we'll see what happens.
There's also much debate over how officers would even enforce the new gun law. The sheriffs of both Lynn and Union County have said they won't enforce at least part of the law should it take effect. And this week, the Marion County Sheriff said his office would not focus investigations on magazine capacity issues because of limited resources. David.
The first of what I imagine might be many, many challenges here. Thank you, Catherine. So an update now out of Columbia County, where the fugitive who's been evading police for the last few days has finally been caught. Officers tracked him down today, hiding in a shed. 41-year-old Kevin Reynolds had a warrant out for his arrest for armed robbery. The search for him canceled school today in Rainier after he was spotted in that area yesterday. He popped up again last night on a home surveillance camera further west in the community of Westport. And then this morning, deputies found Reynolds in a shed on a rural property nearby. The property owner spoke with us. She was relieved, but still shaken up and didn't want to show her face on camera.
They came over and said he was in there. We could hear him because they were, get out, the dogs were barking and whatever. So we were glad he was gone. It's been kind of scary. Everybody's been really on high alert up here.
Yeah, I'll say Reynolds is now facing several more charges, including attempted murder for allegedly firing a gun at someone while trying to get away from police on Tuesday. Tonight, the mystery around the murders of 4 University of Idaho students is now deepening, with no suspects and no murder weapon, but a revelation from police that other students were in the off-campus house at the time. We'll have more on that in just a second. But first, the coroner has ruled all 4 students were stabbed to death. Now they are examining whether the victims had what appear to be defensive wounds.
Well, looking to see if there are some clues that are on them. So some of the suspects, blood perhaps, or something under somebody's fingernails.
Investigators are also looking at surveillance video that shows 2 of the 4 at food trucks just hours before they were killed. Police now say there were 2 more roommates who were home at the time of the killings in those early morning hours. A 911 call about an unconscious person at the home didn't come in till about noon. It is still not clear who called 911. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, authorities in Washington County are investigating an apparent murder-suicide. 2 people were found shot to death near a home last night at Shoals Ferry Road and Shoals Sherwood Road. Deputies say they also found the suspect, who had shot himself. He later died at the hospital. Investigators say it appears he shot the other 2 during an argument. 14 people have been arrested and thousands of fentanyl pills taken off the streets after a major police operation focused on Portland's Old Town. Now, over the course of 2 days, police also seized a stolen car, a gun, and $5 grand in cash. Investigators say they worked with federal partners and the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office. They also talked with the community to target the spots most impacted by traffickers and say they plan further enforcement action. And the Portland romance novelist convicted earlier this year of killing her husband is about to become the subject of a new Lifetime movie. Nancy Crampton Brophy murdered her husband Daniel in 2018. Students found his body at the Oregon Culinary Institute in Southwest Portland. That's where he was an instructor. Now, Deadline.com reports the movie will be titled after one of Brophy's own books called How to Murder Your Husband. And Sybil Shepherd will reportedly play Nancy.